Welcome back to Two Guys in the Outdoors, and thank you for watching. We will continue mounting a scope to a rifle. This week we go to the range to show a procedure used to sight it in the rifle. We hope you like it as much as we enjoyed making it. Please subscribe, leave a comment, share with a friend, and like our show.
All right, welcome back to Two Guys in the Outdoors. Last week we talked about how to set the scope, put the scope on a rifle. This week we're going to be at this nice outdoor retreat and our little mini range, and actually sight it in, show you how to do it. The same rifle, okay? But before we get into that, we'll do our normal. Jason, what'd you do in the outdoors this week?
Well, I have been working with a lot of inventory. So I haven't done a whole lot, but you know, this past weekend I was here at the cabin and shot my bow a little bit and spent some time with family, and that's important stuff.
That's very important stuff.
What'd you do?
For me, it's really excited. I finally got to go out. I've been working a lot, so I spent all day Saturday doing what I wanted to do. So I went down some property that I go to and spent about the first 4 or 5 hours just practicing with my saddle, which was fun.
And you learned that
I learned quite a bit of things.
You learned that.
So we're gonna
practice is important.
Yeah, we're gonna do a show just on why you practice. Yeah. But just to give you a little teaser here, I was experimenting and playing with some new parts that I put on sticks and the saddle and a new platform and all kinds of different new things, and I was spacing them different. I was doing things totally different than what I would normally do. And you must wear your safety devices because I tripped and fell.
And stay attached to the tree at all times.
Stay attached. I was 15 feet up in the air and I missed a step and I fell a little bit. I didn't fall all the way down, but I fell far enough that it scared me. It was maybe a foot, okay? Luckily enough, underneath my inside of my knee caught one of the steps, and then I was able to pull myself up. But keep that stuff.
That's why we practice.
Yeah,
and that's why we encourage all of you all to practice.
So other than that, I spent the rest of the day hiking through the woods, up and down some hills, and trying to find my trail camera because it was missing on my app.
Ooh, wow.
So I knew about where it is, but if you realize I put it in February and now it's almost June.
Fully leaved.
And the woods look totally different.
Yep.
So I did find them. I found both of them and I repinned them on my my app that I use, my outdoor app. So, but it was an enjoyable day. I came back and I was tired and I was beat up and I had a few bruises and maybe some ego bruises. That was probably the biggest bruise, but I had a good time.
Good. So, and that's why we practice.
Yeah. So, okay, let's get to it. Go ahead.
I was just going to tell them, enjoy the show.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Bob and I are out here on the range, and when I say range, I'm talking. This is probably what a lot of people, you know, have access to if you live in a county or a country, not country, but out in the country, to where you have property and you're able to shoot. Now, obviously, if you shoot or you're in the city limits, you're gonna have to go to a public range somewhere or someplace that you can legally shoot. So, but anyway, Bob and I are up here at my cabin, and
just to let you know, I am here.
Yeah, Bob's here. He's cameraman right now. But what we've got my old picnic table, and we've got a target set up here about 25 yards away. And so let me talk just briefly about why we're shooting at 25 yards. Now we're shooting a 22 rimfire today, and you know, I think it's probably if not the most popular rimfire there is, and I probably always will be. Great small game caliber. It's a great squirrel gun, rabbit, small game. You know, great hunting rifles, great hunting round. But anyway, the reason we're shooting 25 yards is most of your centerfire rifles, you know, your 30-06, your 308, your 270s, your 7mm mags, your 300 Winchester mags, and all the other calibers in between there. If you do a 0 at 25 yards, you're going to shoot about 1 inch to 2 inches high at 100. And then at 150, you're going to shoot about 1 inch high, and then at 200 yards, you're going to be dead zero. And here in the Virginia woods, you know, most of our shots in the counties where muzzle loaders and centerfire rifles are legal, you know, most of our shots on big game, deer, bear, stuff like that, are going to be, you know, within that 100 yards. Now, there are farm fields and power lines and different things like that in the state to where you can get a further shot, but a 25-yard 0 is what I use. Other people use different zeros, and that's perfectly fine. You may want to do a different 0, but this is what works for Bob and I.
But it doesn't matter the yardage. The process is still the same.
Exactly. But we're using that 25 yard. One reason, it's close. You saw in the previous video where we mounted this scope and bore sighted it. So now we're going to line this, finish lining this in. So the 25 yard target is, it's close. It allows us to get on paper, and it's a good 0 for hunting the Virginia woods. Now I'll do a 25-0, and then just for my confidence and for my mind's sake, I'll back up to 100 yards and shoot that centerfire rifle. Now I want a 22 rimfire, but you know, a high-powered centerfire rifle, you know, I'll back up and shoot at 100 yards just to confirm my point of impact. So enough about that, and if you have questions or comments, email us, and we'll be happy to explain in more detail. Remember, this is geared toward new hunters, people that are learning to do this, and we want to keep it simple. All right. So we're going to go ahead and go through the process. We mounted the scope, we leveled it with the firearm, and we did a bore sight. Now, another thing that you can do on the range is, you know, you can remove the bolt. You know, I can look through the crosshairs, get that, you know, on target, and then without moving the firearm, I can drop down and look through the barrel, which I can't now because I have a barrel indicator in here. This just shows that our firearm is safe and there's no obstructions in the barrel, and we're good and safe. So now I can kind of drop down and I can look through the bore of the rifle, and I can see the bullseye down there. So I know that we're going to be close and we're going to be on paper.
Now that's only for this style of rifle.
A bolt action.
The other one that I'm going to actually show you also is just a semi-auto, and it doesn't have the bolt, so you won't be able to use that process.
All right. So we're bore sighted and ready to go. So a couple things here. You know, we want to be sure of our target and what's beyond it. We have a target out here at 25 yards, and I think Bob showed that to you. And then we've got a mountain behind us, and there's no roads, there's no structures of any type. There's just a mountain behind us. So we've got we've made sure of our target and what's beyond it. Whenever you're shooting, you want to make sure that you've got your eyes and ears. You want to have eye protection, and of course some type of hearing protection. So, so let's go ahead and we'll take a shot, and we'll see where we're at on the paper. And I always like to shoot 2 rounds just to make sure that we're confirming our point of impact.
Now, some of you may heard from other people to shoot 3 rounds. As long as it's more than 1, you can pretty much tell if it's going to be repeatable.
Absolutely. So what I've done is I've shot 2 rounds, and they are both low and just slightly to the left. All right. So what I like to do is, and this works really, really good if you have a good steady platform. Now this old picnic table does have a little bit of movement to it, so it's not the best. So we're going to see what we're going to do. And so what I do is I call this a one-shot zero. So it really saves on ammunition. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the crosshairs on the center of the target, which is going to be my point of aim.
So what he's doing there, if you notice, he's actually moving the stand itself.
Yeah, the rest, that's right. So what I'm going to do is, without touching the rifle, I want to balance there, and I've got to be careful not to move the picnic table or anything. So the more solid that you can make the rifle, the more effective this is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my firearm dead zero, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, now this turret here moves our point of aim up or down, and this turret here on the side is going to move it your windage left and right. So we're shooting low and just a touch to the left. So I'm going to take care of my height. So what I'm going to do is just move my turret, and I'm going to move, make sure I'm going the right direction here. And so what I've done now is I've moved my crosshairs down to where my last bullet hole hit. All right. So I put the crosshairs on where I'm aiming, and then without moving the rifle on a good steady base, then I just move my crosshairs down to where they come in contact with where the actual bullet hit the target. Okay. So we've made that adjustment. So now we're going to go back and we're going to shoot another round here, and we should be much closer to our point of aim, or bullseye.
Now, while he's setting that up, I don't know if you were able to hear that or not. I heard it behind the camera. As he was turning that, you'll hear clicks.
Yeah.
And most every scope will have them clicks, and each one of those clicks is a certain measurement.
This particular one is a 1/4 inch at 50 yards.
Okay.
So if you went by measurements, and I'm gonna make this firearm safe here while we talk. If you go by measurement, you could actually walk up to the target and measure how far low or high or left or right you are, and say we're an inch low. Then I would move this turret. Now remember, it's a 1/4 inch at 50 yards. So we're at half of that. So we'd have to move this twice as much. So that means 4 clicks is going to move it a 1/2 inch. All right. Now, if we was at 100 yards and it was a quarter inch at 100 yards, then we'd have to move it even that much more. So you always want to remember that. So it's a 1/4 inch at 50 yards. So we're half of that. So we're going to have to move it.
So for those of you that like to use numbers and statistics and all that stuff, that's another way of doing it. Or you can do
What I'm doing.
the windage and the thumb in the air and the guessing, and it both ways work.
Yep.
It all depends on if you're going to be a bench rush shooter or if you're going to be a hunter.
All right. So we're going hot here. And so that was our, remember I said 1-shot 0. So Bob, grab the camera and let's walk up to the target because I want to show them what that 1-shot did. All right, so you can see that I was about 1 inch or a little bit more low. And so my crosshairs was on the bullseye. And then what I did is I moved the turret, click, 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 click down until my crosshairs were on my bullet hole. And you saw the next shot put us in the bullseye. And this is, it's not as important with a rimfire because 22 ammunition is affordable. But if you're zeroing your 7 mag or your 30-06, as we all know, that ammunition is pretty expensive. So the less we shoot on the range, it's going to save us money and save that ammunition for when it counts while we're hunting. But hey, if you're like me and Bob, we like to shoot. So
Yeah, and I'll show you. We did a little bit of shooting beforehand, so the top, this one here, that's where we started at. And then we went down to this one, okay? And then we adjusted it again just so we could show you how to adjust it. So
there you go.
But just so you know, from the other night when we just set it in place, we weren't too far off.
We were about 2 inches to the right.
We were perfectly on the horizontal, but we were just off vertical a little bit, left to right. And then we dialed that back in. So, and then when we just tried shooting it, see what happened.
We tried a different ammo here, actually.
Yeah, actually we did. And it was really repeatable.
Very important. That's a very important thing. Certain rifles like different ammunition. So you can see that this 3-shot group, I can cover with my thumbnail there. So his particular rifle, it kind of likes this ammunition, but we've got some other ammunition here that we're going to try off camera a little bit later, and we might be able to get this thing dialed in a little bit tighter.
Anyway, so I would say we're shooting pretty good there.
Yes, we are.
All right.
All right, so we showed you the target up there, so it worked out pretty good. That's what I call a 1-shot 0. If you're on paper and you've got a good steady rest, then you can, get those crosshairs on the point of aim, make your adjustments without moving the rifle, move those crosshairs down to where they hit the bullet hole. And then if you do that right and you got a good steady rest, you're going to be hitting bullseye. So keep that little trick in mind. Now Bob and I, we're gonna shoot this rifle some more. We've got some different ammo here. Bob's got all kinds of ammo, different ammo here that we're going to try and see which one of these this particular rifle really likes. And Bob, show him that other rifle you were talking about.
So go ahead and grab that rifle. Step out of
Make
the
it
way.
safe.
All right, so I'm just gonna sit this right here. Okay. So this one right here, we're not gonna shoot it right now, but I did want to show you that. Jason showed you how on the Ruger that we had, it was a bolt action. You can pull the bolt out and you can look down the barrel and you can check your sight. Okay. This is the other one that I was talking about. This is a Marlin 22, semi-automatic. You'll see that I have my safety device here just to show that it's unloaded, okay? But this is being fed from a tube, okay? And then it's automatically ejecting the brass and then loading the next one up. So it's a semi-automatic. So this one you cannot look down the barrel and base at it, okay? Basically, you do the same thing other than looking down the barrel with this one, okay? You're gonna look through the scope, you're gonna check everything out just like you would any other rifle, okay? Yeah, so that's all I wanted to do. As I wanted to share with you the other type besides bolt action.
That was successful.
That was fun.
Your rifles shoot well.
Yeah,
And I think we found the ammunition that your rifle really likes.
I think so.
So you are
Rather excited.
you are ready to take that young man that you're mentoring, which if you all have watched our show, he was on a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And you all are going to do some what
We're
they
gonna do
call
some-
what they call spring squirrel hunting in June.
Yep.
But hey, if the weather stays like what we got now, it's going to be some good hunting.
Yep. And just to let you guys know, I go out squirrel hunting, but I'm also scouting for
deer
deer.
and-
I'm looking for sheds. You know, I'm doing all kinds of other things and squirrel hunting.
Absolutely.
But Luis, if you're watching,
He better be.
the semi-automatic that I showed, that's going to be yours for the day.
There you go.
All right.
Well, guys, hey, thanks for watching. Subscribe, and like I always say, keep it simple and just go hunting.
Yeah, get out in the outdoors and have some fun. Talk to y'all later.
See ya.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, leave a comment, share with a friend, and like our show.